Objective 1 of the UN Durban Review Conference claims an interest in assessing contemporary manifestations of racism, xenophobia, and related intolerance. But the most egregious contemporary form of anti-Semitism emanates from the very body supervising the planning and holding of the Durban Review Conference itself, namely the UN Human Rights Council. 3/4 of all the resolutions and decisions condemning human rights violations in a specific state by the UN Human Rights Council are directed at Israel, as compared to nothing on 99% of the remaining UN members. 4 council sessions directed at Israel, compared to 7 sessions on human rights affecting the other 6.6 billion people alive today. 1 agenda item on Israel, 1 for all other governments on earth. A special rapporteur with a mandate to report only the anti-Israel narrative. These double standards, discrimination, and demonization applied uniquely to the state of the Jewish people is the anti-Semitism of our time. How is it possible for the same interests and actors that control outcomes at the Human Rights Council and perpetuate anti-Semitism in the form of anti-Zionism to meet the objective 1 of preventing it?
I apologize for the second time, Madam. Please be committed to the item under consideration here. Kindly be committed to the discussion of the item under consideration. And please do not deviate from this item. We do not want to deprive you to take the floor. However, please abide by the item under discussion, which is item 6, objective 1. You have the floor once again. Madam, you have the floor.
I'm wondering about whether or not your intention is in fact not to deprive me of the floor. I'll soon find out, since the objective is to assessing contemporary manifestations of racism. So what are they? Feigned interest in preventing anti-Semitism can hardly be taken seriously when made by the very states directly responsible for anti-Zionism, who fail to recognize the UN member state of Israel, who prevent only the Jewish state from being a full member of a regional group here in Geneva, and who fully intend to use the Durban Review process to once again pervert the UN human rights system to serve as a platform of anti-Semitism. To date, this preparatory committee has heard repeated claims, as recently as a few minutes ago by Algeria, that anti-Semitism is about Arabs and Muslims. Though anti-Semitism, of course, means nothing of the kind, the speaker's combination of denying Jewish victims of discrimination and his allegation of Israeli racism makes the character of the Durban Review Conference obvious to all. And the question
I apologize for interrupting you, Madam. However, there is a point of order by Algeria. Algeria, you have the floor on a point of order.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I can't permit us to distort the statement that was delivered by me on behalf of my country. I would invite the Speaker and all the members of this distinguished gathering to read my statement and see that I in no way excluded other 20th century anti-Semitism. I'm not excluding Arabs from such themes, and I would invite you to read what I clearly stated in my address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished representative of Algeria. And I hope that the speaker to read exactly the statement of Algeria. And I hope this madam would not think that the PrepCom deprive her of taking the floor. The opposite is correct. We encourage the participation of all NGOs and observers. We invite them all to take part in the discussion of our PrepCom. However, I plead with you to restrict yourselves with the rules of procedure. This is applicable to member states in the United Nations in addition to all observers. Please, Madam, take the floor once again. I will give you the floor under every item on our agenda if you would like to do so. However, the condition is to abide by the item under consideration once again. The floor is yours, Madam, once again.
Madam, the objective one is to assess contemporary manifestations of racism. My comments indicated that the contemporary manifestation of anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. There was nothing in my comments that was not precisely on the agenda item in question, and yet I have been the only speaker interrupted by you repeatedly today. The comments of Algeria, and I quote, "Anti-Semitism policy is directed at Arabs in particular and Muslims." So it is quite clear that the ambassador of Algeria has no intention of speaking to Jewish victims of anti-Semitism, and on the contrary, distorts its purpose and meaning. Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting once again. However, there is a point of order by Algeria. Algeria, you have the floor once again on a point of order.
Madam
Chairman, I did read carefully what I wrote, and I'm mindful that what has been said now has been distorted because the speaker confined herself to quoting matters relating to Arab Semites and excluding the end of my paragraph. I can read it, if you like, to dispel any doubt. Policies of incitement to racial, ethnic and religious hatreds reveal an enclosure in oneself, giving rise to negative tensions which are detrimental to specific values belonging to each community. Since the 11th of September 2001, we've noted implementation of an anti-Semite policy directed against the Arabs in particular and extended by association to all Muslims. By targeting Muslims, one was seeking to demonize them and to dehumanize them with a view to legitimizing attacks on individuals living or even the dead through profanation of the Muslim tombs in Europe, painting swastikas like those who targeted other Semites in the 20th century. In other words, Arabs are Semites among others. It's quite clear. I didn't go into, perhaps no need to go into things further, but please take the quotation fully to avoid distortions. Thank you.